Hello, my name is Justin Coffey, and I'm excited to join in this journey of learning about school law, something that I feel like I need to learn more about. So I want to introduce myself. I'm an education consultant with Southwest Plains Regional Service Center in Sublette, Kansas. I actually don't live in Sublette. I live just outside of Dodge City, Kansas, in the country. But I'm very rarely in my office in Sublette, Kansas. Most of the time, I am almost every single day. I'm traveling around to different districts, helping teachers be their best. So, some other information that you might want to know about me is I'm a transition to teach teacher. And what that means is that education was not my first career. My first career was in business, and I got my undergrad in business administration from University of Wyoming. But then I had a change of heart and decided to go back to school to become a teacher. And so I did that through Fort Hays State several years back, and have loved every minute of it since then. I'm a high school math and business teacher. I'm a former high school math and business teacher at Dodge City High School, and I taught there for 9 years, and again, loved every minute of it. I also coached football and wrestling while I was there. And then in 2016, I was named Kansas Teacher of the Year, and that kind of flipped my world upside down and presented a lot of opportunities. In fact, a lot of what I learned and know about education or school law was from that year. And another project that I'm working on is I've just started a podcast called the Improve Ed Podcast. And if you're interested in checking it out, you can find us on YouTube by searching for the Improve Ed Podcast, or we're in iTunes and Spotify if you're interested in checking that out. But the real important things that you should really know about me is I'm a husband. I've been married for 16 years to my wife, Amanda. She's a kindergarten teacher here in Dodge City, Kansas. And I have a 9-year-old son, Blaine. He's in the 4th grade. And so that's been an awesome adventure that he's sent us on. And then I also have a 20-month-old daughter, Landry. And again, a great adventure as I chase her around and keep her from putting things in her mouth. They are what keep life happy and fun for me. As I think back about my administrator and what they helped me understand about school law, first of all, I don't have really an administrator anymore in my position, so I'm thinking back to when I was at Dodge City High School, and my principal, Jackie Feist, is a phenomenal principal, and so she is actually heavily involved in kind of state politics and education policy, and also at the national level too. She's gone and testified at the national level about education policy. So she's a former social studies teacher, so this is kind of her gig, the whole law stuff, the whole law thing. But she also did a really good job of protecting us from things we didn't need to know. She kind of always told us, you keep doing what you need to do in the classroom, and if there's something you need to know, I will be the first to let you know, but don't worry about all of this policy stuff if it's not going to affect your classroom. And so that was kind of her philosophy, and in a lot of ways as a teacher, I really appreciated that. But she has great knowledge of federal, state, and local laws and policies and how those affect her school. She had monthly staff meetings where she would pull us together and talk about any policy changes that were in the news or anything that we needed to know for our classrooms. She always did a great job of presenting that to us in a way that we could understand. And then I was fortunate enough to be on her building leadership team, and that's where she would kind of run a lot of ideas by that leadership team and kind of ask us, hey, how should I present this to teachers? What do teachers need to know? And so it was a good chance for me to kind of get a behind the scenes look at her thought process with school law. Our school board also sent us all Board of Education agendas and minutes as the meetings happened on a monthly basis. And so that kind of kept us in the loop of what kind of things they were talking about and sharing about. And so I always felt I knew a little bit more as to what was going on when I had those agendas and minutes. And then again, another thing that I know just from kind of being behind the scenes is that through the KISA process, and that's our state's accreditation process, our school district completed a compliance audit to make sure that they are in compliance with all federal, state, and local laws and policies. And so that's kind of what my administrator would share with us, or how she would share information with us. And again, I just feel really fortunate that she was so knowledgeable about school law. My own personal knowledge, I, I don't feel totally comfortable with school law, and I'm learning a lot more about it as I work as an education consultant. I'm having to learn more about school law and how laws affect more than just my classroom that I'm used to dealing with. But things that I'm still struggling with and wrestling with is trying to figure out where all the control is going to land with the new ESSA law. And I think the plan was to push control to states and local school boards. But I feel like in some ways the federal government is pulling those strings back in a little bit and wanting a little more say and control in what happens in school. So that's one of the things that I'm not totally sure about, is who does have ultimate control of our schools? Is it the federal level, the state level, the local level? And of course, all of those pieces fit together in some way, but how big is each piece of that pie? I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. I'm A big part of my job is helping districts implement the new Kansas vision for education, and so at the state level, implementing those change and helping schools think about school redesign and leading the world in the success of each student. Those are all things that I work with on a daily basis. So fortunately, I have a pretty good relationship with our commissioner, Dr. Randy Watson, and I stay in pretty close contact with him and carrying out the wishes of the State Board of Education and their wishes for where we head as a school system in the state of Kansas. And then also, I'm fortunate to be involved in a strategic action planning committee for our local school district here in Dodge City. Again, I no longer teach at the school district here in Dodge City, but they've asked me to be a part of this team that's looking at a 5-year strategic plan, and this is fitting into their KISA process as well. And so I'm excited to be a part of that plan so that I can see the policies that will be implementing my wife and my own children as they go through the Dodge City Public Schools. So how do I want to improve and learn and get better at school law? Well, one of the things that I want to do is continue to build and continue to cultivate these relationships that I've built with policymakers and policy influencers. I think it's one thing to sit back and allow school law to happen to us, and as teachers, sometimes that's the way it feels. But it's another thing to go out and try to influence school law to do what's best for kids. And so that's an approach that I've started taking. Is I'm hoping that I can influence some policymakers as they think about what they want to do with our schools. Another thing that I want to do is I want to continue to collaborate with both system and building leaders regarding the implementation of current and new policies. What I mean by that is I think we have lots of laws that start out with the best of intentions. Take, for instance, No Child Left Behind. But then during the implementation of those laws or policies, we really seem to screw things up. And so I'm interested in working with other principals, with other superintendents on figuring out how can we best implement some of these policies to do what's best for our kids. Again, when I think about the school redesign that's happening in Kansas, different superintendents, different building leaders are going different directions with it. And I want to collaborate with lots of different leaders so that I can make decisions that are best for the students in my school building and really try not to botch up the implementation of good policies. And then finally, I want to continue to be an advocate for education policies that will benefit the students in my community. And when I become a building leader in my building, and so more than just knowing the school law, I want to be able to influence the school law and have an impact on the school law. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as school law. I appreciate you all hanging around with me. I know that my submission is very late, so I hope that you get a chance to check it out. And I can't wait to continue learning with you guys through this course. Thank you.